Have you ever felt like no one truly understands you? Like you're walking a path so different from everyone else that you often feel completely alone? Maybe you've struggled financially despite your intelligence, hard work, and determination. You see others thriving, easily forming relationships, climbing the social and financial ladder. Yet for you, it feels like every door closes just when you get close. It's frustrating, exhausting, and at times disheartening. But what if I told you that your isolation, your struggles, and even your setbacks are not random? They are not a punishment. They are a sign that you have been set apart, chosen for something greater than this world can offer. Many are called, but few are chosen. Matthew 22:14. Being chosen means you cannot walk the same path as everyone else. The world will not embrace you because you do not belong to it. Your energy, your purpose, and your destiny are different. There is a divine calling upon your life, and that calling often comes with isolation and trials. If you have found yourself feeling disconnected, as if people pull away from you without reason, it's because you were never meant to fit in. The world resists those who carry the light of truth. You act as a mirror to others, exposing what they would rather keep hidden. And because of this, relationships become difficult. Friendships feel shallow. Opportunities that come so easily to others seem to slip through your fingers. You are not broken. You are being refined. C.S. Lewis once wrote, "Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny." Every trial, every moment of loneliness, every financial struggle is not a roadblock. It is preparation. God is not allowing these struggles to destroy you. He is using them to shape you. Look at the great figures of faith: Moses, Joseph, Job, even Jesus himself. Each endured immense hardship before stepping into their divine purpose. Joseph was betrayed by his own brothers and spent years in prison before rising to power. Job lost everything before God restored him with double. Even Jesus was rejected, tested, and led into the wilderness for 40 days before beginning his ministry. Their suffering was not meaningless, and neither is yours. The very things you are struggling with now are the fire through which God is refining you, preparing you for something beyond what you can see. You were never meant to follow the crowd. That's why relationships feel different for you. That's why you see through deception while others remain blind. That's why financial success in the world's terms often eludes you. Because your wealth will not come from this world. You are being prepared for something higher. The world glorifies temporary success, but God is building within you something eternal. Take a moment and do these 3 things. Hit the subscribe button to help spread God's word, click the like button as an act of faith, and leave the number 40 in the comments. This number isn't just a figure. It's a powerful symbol of trials, preparation, and transformation through God's divine plan. Moses spent 40 days on Mount Sinai receiving the law. The Israelites wandered in the desert for 40 years as God prepared them for the promised land, and Jesus fasted for 40 days in the wilderness before beginning his ministry. By leaving the number 40, you are proclaiming your readiness to endure trials and embrace the change God has planned for you. Stay until the end. If this message stirs your heart, it's a sign that God is speaking to you. Watching the video to the end is not just an action, it's a testimony of your faith, resilience, and trust in his guidance through life's challenges. Let the number 40 in the comments be your declaration that you are prepared for transformation and to walk in God's purpose. Your journey of faith begins now. Loneliness is not just a feeling, it's a reality that every chosen one must face. You may have asked yourself, why do people pull away from me? Why do relationships feel empty? Why does it seem like no one truly understands me? The truth is, you are not alone in feeling this way. Every chosen one walks a solitary path at some point in their journey. It's not because there's something wrong with you, it's because you carry a light that few can stand in. Your very presence unsettles people, often without you realizing it. You don't fit in because you weren't meant to. Many people live in illusion, comfortable in their false sense of security. They surround themselves with distractions, superficial relationships, and worldly pleasures, avoiding the deep truths of life. But you, chosen one, are different. You seek something more. You see beyond the surface. You desire authenticity, truth, and purpose. This alone sets you apart. It also makes relationships more difficult. When you operate on a higher frequency, others sense it, even if they don't understand it. They feel something different in you, something that challenges them. Without realizing it, they withdraw because your energy confronts what they have been running from. Jesus himself experienced this. Though he was love incarnate, though he healed, blessed, and spoke truth, he was rejected. Even his own disciples abandoned him in his most critical hour. If Christ, the Son of God, faced loneliness and rejection, how much more will his followers? He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. Isaiah 53:3. Your loneliness is not a punishment. It is evidence that you are walking the path of those before you. There is something deeply spiritual about solitude. It is a refining process. Think of Moses, called by God to lead his people. Before he could fulfill his mission, he spent 40 years in the wilderness, alone. Think of Elijah, who after calling down fire from heaven had to flee and spend time alone by a brook where God fed him with ravens. Even Paul, after encountering Christ, spent years in isolation before stepping fully into his calling. Loneliness is a divine tool. It strips away distractions, forcing you to rely not on the world but on God. And yet, the hardest part of this loneliness is often the emotional toll it takes. You want to connect, to love, to belong. But no matter how much you give, people seem to leave. Friends become distant. Family doesn't understand you. Relationships fail. This is because you don't bond through surface-level conversations or shared hobbies. You crave deeper, soul-level connections. The truth is, few are ready for that kind of depth. Most people are comfortable in shallow waters. You, however, were made for the deep. When you enter someone's life, you act as a mirror. Your presence exposes what they have been avoiding: insecurities, wounds, weaknesses. Many people are not ready to face those things, so rather than deal with them, they pull away from you. This isn't your fault. You did not do anything wrong. They are simply not ready for the truth you bring. Some relationships may last a while, but eventually those who are unwilling to grow will distance themselves. It is painful, but necessary. Not everyone is meant to walk with you. Some people come into your life only for a season, to teach you or to be taught by you, but they cannot stay. However, this doesn't mean you are destined to be alone forever. God removes people who no longer serve your journey, but he also brings the right people at the right time. These are the ones who will match your energy, who will understand your depth, who will walk with you rather than away from you. Do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers, for what partnership has righteousness with lawlessness, or what fellowship has light with darkness? 2 Corinthians 6, verse 14. One of the most important things you must learn is to embrace solitude rather than resist it. Many chosen ones waste time chasing relationships that were never meant for them. They hold on to people who were meant to leave. They seek validation from those who cannot give it. But once you stop running from loneliness and start embracing it, everything changes. You begin to see solitude as a gift rather than a curse. You realize that it is in these quiet seasons that you grow the most. In your solitude, you heal, you reconnect with God, you discover your purpose, you strengthen your spirit. The distractions of the world fade, and suddenly you can hear God's voice more clearly. This is why so many great men and women of faith had periods of isolation before stepping into their destiny. Your loneliness is a cocoon. It feels painful now, but it is transforming you. It is during this time that God will equip you with what you need for the future. He will remove the relationships that drain you and replace them with ones that uplift you. He will take away meaningless conversations and replace them with divine revelations. He will pull you away from the noise of the world so that you can hear him more clearly. And when the time is right, he will bring the right people into your life. People who truly see you. People who appreciate your depth. People who are ready to grow alongside you. You don't need to chase connections. God is already preparing them. In the meantime, your job is to trust the process, embrace the solitude, and allow him to complete the work he has started in you. So, if you find yourself alone, don't despair. This is not the end of your story. It is simply the beginning of something greater. Trust in God's plan. He has not forgotten you. He is preparing you. Stay faithful. Keep walking. Your time will come. The world measures success through wealth, status, and possessions. Society glorifies financial gain, pushing the idea that success is tied to material abundance. But chosen ones operate differently. While others chase money, you seek meaning. While they measure life in terms of assets and luxury, you measure it in wisdom, purpose, and divine alignment. This difference is why financial struggles are so common for those on a higher path. You are not driven by greed. You don't take shortcuts, manipulate, or compromise your values for temporary success. You refuse to sell your soul for a paycheck. Instead, you seek a life of purpose, integrity, and spiritual fulfillment. This often puts you at odds with the world's systems. People who lack spiritual awareness will question why you don't follow the crowd. They won't understand why you turn down opportunities that go against your values or why you prioritize purpose over profit. But Jesus warned us of this conflict. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven. Matthew 6, verse 19-20. You are not failing because you struggle financially. You are being refined. The world's system may seem like the only path to success, but you were never meant to fit into it. Instead, your abundance comes through divine alignment, through walking in purpose. True wealth is not just money. It is the peace, wisdom, and favor that come from God when you follow His plan. Money is energy, and the way it flows into your life is directly linked to your spiritual alignment. Many chosen ones struggle financially, not because they lack intelligence or effort, but because their energy is not in sync with the materialistic world. Traditional wealth-building methods, climbing the corporate ladder, investing purely for profit, or engaging in business just for money, often feel draining or unfulfilling. These methods require a mindset of competition, self-interest, and financial obsession, which contradicts the nature of those who are spiritually guided. Jesus gave us the key to unlocking financial stability. Seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added to you. Matthew 6:33. This verse is not just about spiritual well-being. It is a principle of divine provision. When you align your work with God's purpose, money comes in ways that are aligned with your values. Instead of chasing wealth, you create value. Instead of focusing on profit, you focus on serving others, and as a result, provision follows. Your struggle is temporary. God may be testing you, refining your heart, and preparing you for a financial breakthrough that won't corrupt your spirit. You are being taught to trust Him, to break free from fear, and to develop a mindset of abundance rather than lack. The moment you fully embrace this truth, doors will begin to open. Financial struggles are not a curse. They are a redirection toward God's higher way. Stay faithful. Your provision is coming. Many chosen ones carry the weight of financial struggles that did not begin with them. Generational poverty, financial instability, and scarcity mindsets are often passed down through families, creating invisible barriers that make wealth seem unattainable. If you have always struggled with money, despite working hard and making wise choices, it may not be just your battle. It may be an inherited cycle that you were chosen to break. The Bible speaks of generational patterns. The sins of the fathers are visited upon the children to the third and fourth generation. Exodus 20, verse 5. This doesn't mean you are doomed to repeat the struggles of those before you, but it does mean you must actively break the cycle. Many families have been bound by a spirit of lack, fear of not having enough, limiting beliefs about money, and subconscious resistance to financial success. You, as a chosen one, are meant to rewrite this story. By changing your mindset, healing financial wounds, and operating with faith instead of fear, you can break the generational curse of financial struggle and create a new legacy. Your abundance is not just for you. It is meant to be passed down, shifting your lineage from scarcity to divine provision. Financial success and spiritual purpose are not enemies. They are meant to work together. Many chosen ones struggle because they feel guilty about making money, as if financial abundance contradicts a life of faith. But God does not call His people to lack. He calls them to abundance, not just for themselves, but to bless others. The key is to align your financial path with your divine assignment. Start by identifying your God-given gifts. What skills, talents, or insights do you have that can serve others? Instead of chasing money, focus on creating value. When your work aligns with your purpose, money will follow. Many chosen ones are meant to lead, teach, heal, or create. Whether through business, ministry, or creative endeavors, there is always a way to generate income while staying true to your faith. The key is to step away from fear and into faith, trusting that God will provide as you walk in your calling. Monetizing your gifts does not mean compromising your values. It means using your talents to serve while allowing financial blessings to flow as a result. Think of biblical figures like Joseph. His wisdom and leadership led to financial elevation. Solomon's knowledge brought him wealth beyond measure. Even Jesus' ministry was financially supported by those who believed in his work. Your provision will come when you align your financial decisions with your God-ordained purpose. C.S. Lewis profoundly stated, "Aim at heaven and you will get earth thrown in. Aim at earth and you will get neither." This is the essence of financial success for chosen ones. When your focus is purely on earthly wealth, it becomes an endless chase, one that never satisfies. But when you focus on higher things, on your purpose, on serving and uplifting others, provision naturally follows. True abundance is a byproduct of divine alignment. The world tells you to chase money. God tells you to chase purpose, and money will come. Stay faithful, and in due time you will see His provision manifest in your life. Every chosen one faces a season of intense trials, a period often called the dark night of the soul. This is a time when everything seems to fall apart. Relationships break, finances dry up, doors close, and even God's voice may seem distant. It feels as though you are walking through a storm with no clear way out. But this is not a punishment, it is a test. Every great figure in the Bible endured such a season before stepping into their divine destiny. Job lost everything: his wealth, his family, his health. He sat in the ashes, questioning why God allowed such suffering. But even in his lowest moment, he refused to curse God. His faith was tested, but because he endured, God restored him double for what he lost. Joseph, too, suffered betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment. For years it seemed as if his life was cursed, but in reality God was preparing him for greatness. Had he not been thrown into the pit by his brothers, he would never have risen to power in Egypt. What looked like setbacks were actually setups for his destiny. Many chosen ones are being refined in the fire right now. God is stripping away everything that is not meant for you. He is removing false relationships, testing your faith, and reshaping your heart. When you are in the fire, it is easy to ask, "Why me?" But instead ask, "What is God teaching me?" Like gold purified in flames, you are being molded into something stronger. This is your proving ground. The test is not meant to break you. It is meant to qualify you for the blessings ahead. Stay faithful, because just like Job and Joseph, your season of restoration is coming. Financial and emotional hardships are never permanent, though they often feel endless in the moment. When you are struggling, it is easy to believe that things will never change. The weight of unpaid bills, the stress of uncertainty, and the loneliness of isolation can shake even the strongest faith. But God never allows a trial without a purpose. He is always working, even when you cannot see it. Think about the Israelites in the wilderness. For 40 years they wandered, wondering if they would ever reach the promised land. Many of them doubted, complaining that God had abandoned them. But in reality, He was leading them, providing for them, and preparing them for something greater. Your current struggles are not signs of failure, they are part of your preparation. God is not just testing you, He is equipping you. He is building resilience, deepening your trust, and teaching you to rely on Him rather than the world. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Psalm 30:5. Your hardships have an expiration date. The pain, the waiting, the frustration, it will not last forever. What you are walking through now is temporary, but the strength, wisdom, and faith you gain will last a lifetime. Trust that God is leading you, even when the path seems unclear. The breakthrough you seek is already in motion. Keep going. C.S. Lewis profoundly stated, "God allows us to experience the low points of life in order to teach us lessons we could learn in no other way." This truth is one that every chosen one must come to understand. Hardships are not random. They are divinely orchestrated lessons designed to transform you. When life is easy, faith is rarely tested. But in seasons of struggle, when you have nothing left to rely on but God, that is when your faith is strengthened. Look at the patterns of biblical figures. None of them stepped into greatness without first walking through suffering. Job learned that faith is not dependent on circumstances. Joseph learned that betrayal and imprisonment were stepping stones to his destiny. David learned that being anointed does not mean instant success. He had to hide in caves before he could sit on a throne. Every moment of suffering was a lesson, a preparation, a refinement of their character. God does not waste pain. The struggles you face are your training ground. He is teaching you things you could never learn in comfort. He is stripping away pride, doubt, and fear. He is teaching patience, trust, and resilience. Without these trials, you would not become the person you are meant to be. The very things you are crying over now will one day be the foundation of your testimony. What seems like your lowest point may actually be the turning point that launches you into your divine calling. Many chosen ones live in survival mode for too long. Fear of failure, financial insecurity, and rejection keep them in a mindset of scarcity. But God did not call you to just survive. He called you to thrive. The moment you step into alignment with His purpose, everything changes. Fear is the greatest enemy of destiny. It keeps you small, convincing you that you are not ready, not worthy, not capable. But fear is a liar. The moment you release the need to control everything and surrender fully to God, you shift from struggling to thriving. You begin to see provision, not because you are chasing money, but because you are walking in obedience. Spiritual abundance is not just about wealth. It is about peace, purpose, and divine favor. When you fully embrace who God has called you to be, doors begin to open. You stop striving and start flowing in His grace. The struggles of the past no longer define you, they refine you. And in that refinement, you are made ready for everything He has promised. You were never meant to fit in. The loneliness, the struggles, the rejection, these are not coincidences. They are evidence of your uniqueness, proof that you are not like everyone else. Society rewards those who conform, those who follow the crowd, those who chase money, status, and approval. But you were never meant to follow the world's script. You were chosen to stand apart, to walk a higher path, to seek truth in a world obsessed with illusion. Many chosen ones spend years wondering why they don't belong. They try to fit in, to be liked, to be accepted, but no matter how much they give, they are still misunderstood, overlooked, or cast aside. The reason is simple. You were not created to be ordinary. You were called to be a light, and light often makes people uncomfortable. The world rejects what it cannot control, what it cannot categorize, what it does not understand. Jesus Himself faced this rejection. If the world hates you, know that it has hated me before it hated you. John 15:18. He was the embodiment of love, wisdom, and truth, yet He was despised by those who refused to see. If the Son of God was rejected, why would it be any different for you? Instead of chasing validation, own your calling. Stop seeking approval from those who were never meant to understand you. The moment you accept that you were designed to be different, you will find true freedom. You will no longer shrink yourself to fit into places you've outgrown. You will walk boldly in your purpose, knowing that your value is not defined by this world, but by the one who created you. Every struggle, every setback, every disappointment is not meant to break you. It is meant to shape you. The universe is not punishing you. It is preparing you. What feels like rejection is actually redirection. Every closed door, every unanswered prayer, every difficult season is leading you exactly where you need to be. Think about a diamond. Before it shines, it must endure immense pressure. Think about gold. Before it is valuable, it must be refined by fire. You are no different. The hardships you have faced were never random. They were necessary. They were molding you, strengthening you, stripping away everything that does not serve your higher purpose. Joseph had to be betrayed before he could be elevated. Moses had to wander the wilderness before leading his people to freedom. Even Jesus had to endure the cross before stepping into his ultimate glory. If you are struggling, it is not because you are forgotten. It is because you are being formed. God is preparing you for something greater, something beyond what you can imagine. The pain, the waiting, the uncertainty, these are not signs that you are failing. They are signs that you are in the middle of transformation. Stay the course. Your breakthrough is coming. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. This is God's promise to you. No matter how lost, broken, or uncertain you feel, He already has a divine plan in motion. You are not forgotten. Every struggle has a purpose, every tear is counted, and every trial is shaping you for something beyond what you can see right now. When God says He has plans to prosper you, it means He is working behind the scenes, aligning circumstances in your favor, even when everything appears to be falling apart. Trust in His timing. What looks like a delay is actually preparation. The doors that have closed were never meant for you. The relationships that ended were never part of your destiny. Hold on to His promise. What He has planned for you is greater than anything you could imagine. Take a moment and do these 3 things. Hit the subscribe button to help spread God's word. Click the like button as an act of faith, and leave the number 40 in the comments. This number isn't just a figure. It's a powerful symbol of trials, preparation, and transformation through God's divine plan. Moses spent 40 days on Mount Sinai receiving the law. The Israelites wandered in the desert for 40 years as God prepared them for the promised land, and Jesus fasted for 40 days in the wilderness before beginning His ministry. By leaving the number 40, you are proclaiming your readiness to endure trials and embrace the change God has planned for you. Stay until the end. If this message stirs your heart, it's a sign that God is speaking to you. Watching the video to the end is not just an action, it's a testimony of your faith, resilience, and trust in His guidance through life's challenges. Let the number 40 in the comments be your declaration that you are prepared for transformation and to walk in God's purpose. Your journey of faith begins now.